there, Northwest Fishing Reports fans. This is Hannah Pennebaker, and today we are at Riffe Lake. Got a little bit of a special guest here. You may recognize Blake Nelson from Washington Fish Quest.
Hello!
There's actually 3 different types of trout and coho and salmon that you can catch in this lake. We've got landlocked kings, we've got landlocked coho, and we've got triploid trout, right, Blake?
Hey, that's right. Yeah, this is a very special fishery. There's lots of kokanee fisheries around the state. This is one where it's landlocked coho, not kokanee, and they hit really well. Also we got those triploid trout. Those were going to be used for restaurants and stuff in the commercial sector, but due to the pandemic, they couldn't use them. So Tacoma Power said, hey, we'll take them. I think I just heard one jump right over there. So maybe we'll get into that one. But and then also on top of that, there is some Springer mini jacks in here that came back to the Cowlitz hatchery. Not a whole lot of them, but they get dumped in here too. So heck, it's like fishing the Puget Sound or something. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, sounds like there's plenty of fish in this lake, right? So there's actually 2 types of fisheries at this lake. Shore fishermen do well, people on boats do well. Down at Mossy Rock Dam, there's actually a fishing bridge that you can fish off of. You can cast a bobber and like a sand shrimp over there, or a salad shrimp, and then you can actually troll for these guys out here. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be trolling for whatever bites out there. So join us and let's go fishing. Caution about launching at this lake is that it is a reservoir and that the waters drop accordingly throughout the year. Right now we're at a point in the year where it's a little bit higher, so it's not as much of a concern, but if you're launching early or late season, the water level might be real low and that dock might not be there, so it's going to be quite the drive to back in your trailer, and then you might not have a nice dock to launch from. You might have to jump in from the sides. So just a bit of a word of warning there. Be prepared to back up about a couple hundred feet. It's quite a long boat launch. They actually, in fact, shut down some of the boat launches out here. Today we're at Mossy Rock Park because we know that it's available to use during year-round most conditions. But once the lake does get below a certain level, they do shut down boat launches because they just get too low.
One of the things we're going to use for trolling today is we have 3 people and everybody can use up to 2 rods each, but we're still only going to run 4 poles. But one of our tricks for getting that many poles on the downriggers, this lake is really deep, so you want to be able to target where your fish are, because not all of them are going to be on the surface. There's a lot of fish here, but we use the shuttle hawks and they just slide down the downrigger line, and you just drop them as far as as you want on the downrigger line, and they'll just stay right there, and as soon as they pop out of this clip, they return to the surface for you to remove them and do it again. Time to dye my fingers.
I have gloves.
All right, we got a fish on here. One thing, if you ever watch my YouTube channel, I never am not excited when I'm reeling a fish. I can reel in 100, and everyone's like the first time. So giant thanks to Hannah and Chris for getting me out. That's a nice fish.
Nice.
Let's see if I can. Here he comes. Woo! Dang!
Fatty.
Yeah, that's one of them triploids. Jeez, they're getting big. I mean, that's at least a 16-incher. Holy smokers. Feels great. Thank you so much again for having me out. And that hit the shrimp, too. We've been getting hits on this, the green corn. That hit some garlic tuna-soaked salad shrimp. 15, it shrunk an inch. Wow.
Yeah. Big fish.
Oh, that's a fish. That's a fish. Come and grab it. Oh, I guess even the camera girl gets to catch a fish.
Hey, that's right.
Oh, I felt like it might have just came off.
Oh.
We'll see though, we'll see.
Sorry, I should have grabbed it.
came off, but he had some pretty good fight there for a few seconds. So no worries, we've already lost, you know, a couple, got one in the boat, so pretty decent day of fishing so far. Let's see if we can catch a few more.
And so far, Hannah spotted them all.
I don't sleep on fish.
All right, fish on. They're everywhere here. There's like we haven't even been able to get all the rods in the water. Fish are everywhere here.
That's fishing at Riffe Lake for you. You know, there's, like we mentioned, there's kings, there's coho, there's trout in here. Can't not catch fish. How did he feel?
Oh, he's got some good shakes here and there, but I don't know how much he knows he's hooked.
Yeah, you know, we got this whole lake to ourselves. We're bringing him in nice and slow. You notice Chris is doing these nice sweeping motions, right? He's got to make sure you keep pressure on these fish, keep them hooked. We got the whole lake. We're just taking it slow, and actually there's not a lot of people out here today. All right.
See some chrome.
We're gonna get this guy in the net. All right.
All right.
That is the little landlocked coho, folks.
Hey, all right.
I think. Yeah, that's a coho for sure. Little coho. This is probably a year 1 coho. So they usually have about year 1, year 2 coho in here. So early in the season, you'll catch 2-year-old fish. They're a little bit bigger. Later in the season, you'll catch last year's plants. So they cut good. They still eat pretty good. But yeah, look at that nice blue back on them. Just a beautiful little coho. Nice job, Chris.
Thank you.
Let's catch some more.
Yep. We'll get our lines back out there.
One thing that I'd like to mention is that we're fishing about mid-late summer, so the water is very warm. Our fish finder says it's about 76 degrees. Trout and kokanee, or coho, they just don't survive warm weather well, right? So if you're going to be out here, you're going to be fishing in these warm weathers, I would plan on keeping everything you catch, because if I were to let this guy go, there's a good chance he wouldn't survive the release. So just to be an ethical angler, make sure that we ensure to keep these fish going for future generations. We're gonna go ahead and keep everything we catch today. Fish on! This is actually fish number 3. So we're doing pretty good. We got a triploid, and then we got a nice little landlocked coho. This one's feeling pretty heavy, feeling like it. Oh, there he goes. See those head shakes. This one's feeling like it might be a good-sized coho or maybe a triploid. The one thing that's nice about these line counter reels is you can see how much line you have. Whoa, there he goes. You can see how much line you have left, just so you can let your noter know, hey, I've got 30 feet, hey, I've got 10 feet left. I think it really helps increase your chances of landing the fish, because then you know how close they are to the boat. Not to mention, you know how long your setback is. The more information you know when you're fishing, the better. Wow, this one's got a good fight. Look at those head shakes. Once again, I've got the whole lake, so I'm just kind of reeling them in slow. You know, no need to rush. Got the whole lake to ourselves. We're here on a Monday. It's really not crowded. And this lake is so big, you don't have to worry about, you know, fishing shoulder to shoulder with other folks. All right, and I see a leader, so I'm gonna go, wow, that's a nice fish. I'm gonna go ahead and back up and let my netter grab him.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got. That is, oh geez, I actually don't know if this is a triploid or a...
That's a really, really nice landlocked coho.
That's a landlocked coho.
Yeah, that is a beaut.
Wow.
That might be the nicest I've ever seen. That is very, very nice.
Wow, that's a beautiful fish. So, previous fish you saw was a little bit smaller. That might have been that 1-year age class. This looks like a 2-year age class. You can tell it's a coho because he's got that nice blue back. Look at that. That nice silvery, and then he's got silver spots on the tail. Let me go ahead and grab him for you. Wow, just a beautiful fish, beautiful landlocked coho. Ooh, these are just great on the smoker. This is really one of my favorite fisheries out here. Let's talk a little bit about gear. You might be wondering what we're catching these triploids and these coho on. I've got just a Dodger. I believe this is either a dogtail or an arrow flash Dodger right here in pink. These coho seem to love pink. And then I've got about maybe a foot of leader with a little spinner right here, just a max wedding ring. So these fish are aggressive. You know, they like pink, but they'll hit on most any offering you throw out here. So got about, you know, 50, 45 feet deep. These fish do run a little bit deeper than the triploids. They like that cold water. Again, I mentioned earlier that the lake's pretty warm, so they're gonna be down there on the cold water feasting on krill. So just 2 things to remember, you know, pink and flash.
All right, we're into another one here. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And you know, it's a 5 fish limit on this lake. It's landlocked salmon rules. And as a reminder, any fish you catch on bait counts as your limit. So even if we could release these fish, it would still count against our limit, but we're not, just due to the warm water. All right. Oh yeah, looks like another silver. Woo! Another fish on here. This puts me at mind for a story. We might be fishing above a town right now because Riffe Lake, you know, the dam came up in '68 is when the dam was finished. First it was called Davison Lake after the chief engineer, but local pressure, they changed it to Riffe because that's the name of one of the towns that is now beneath the waves. You know, they've moved out the people and the buildings and stuff. That was it.
Wow.
Oh, my story was so captivating, I didn't realize how big this fish was.
Wow.
Dang. Well, he said you wanted another nice silver, so there we go.
Wow, look at that fish.
Ah, they're so bright. Up there is Mossy Rock Dam. That's where I grew up, just fishing, throwing bobbers and cast masters and big silver spoons. Usually in the spring, the fish are up there really shallow, and it is a blast. It is a kick in the pants. Regarding the bait we're using today, I carried some shrimp here. These are just salad shrimpies. So I have 3 different shrimp I brought. One that's not in the picture right now is just some I dumped some salt on. When I used to bobber fish off of the dam, and in fact I still bobber fish off the dam, that's what I do. I just put a bunch of salt on some shrimp, a bunch of coarse salt, just throw it in a bag. Oh, there's that pole's going off. I'm gonna grab it. But what I do, I'll keep talking about the shrimp I was holding up. So those were, you know, pink. That was actually just an egg cure, but you can make your own with, you know, food coloring and salt and borax. And then Hannah and Chris, they brought the corn. So we had some pink corn and some green corn. And at first we thought green was the ticket, but it turns out these dang fish, they're hitting everything. Any color's working.
Yep.
These fish are not picky today, anyway. Sometimes it's a one color or the other. Whew, this evens out my big fish, that's for sure. I want to keep that average, you know, at about 12 inches. So this is the, you know, this is more like the 8-inch side of that.
Little coho, right?
Yep.
Fish on. We just cannot stop catching fish here. We might just have to switch to 2 poles just to slow our action down.
Yeah, we don't want to limit out too fast, right? I mean, it's a... Oh, and then the other pole's going off. We got a double.
Woo!
Oh, man. Oh, he's still... I don't know if he's still there, but yeah, that's...
Whoa.
You feeling good?
He saw the boat or something.
Well, that's awesome.
All right, we'll net this guy and then we'll go grab the other pole. All right,
Yeah.
Fish 1, and then we were gonna grab this other one. I don't know if this fish is still here, but I definitely saw this pole go off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it off the clip and see if he's still there. I don't think he's still there, but you never know. You never know out here. Feels a little heavy. Oh, it feels a little heavy. Oh, and that third, we got a triple.
Oh my
we got
word.
a triple out here. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna. I don't recommend this.
Woo,
Wait.
nice flip. Sometimes you gotta flip.
You got a triple. I swear I saw that 4th pole mount too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this down to grab.
No, stop it.
One word of caution when you're using shuttle hawks is you got to make sure to not use the automatic function on your downrigger because you will lose that shuttle hawk if you just bring it up. So you got to be kind of careful. Oh, that fish is gone. Well, that's what happens when you get a triple. The action's just so hot, it gets a little chaotic out here. So, you know, that's just the kind of fishing you can have out here at Riffe Lake. We'd love to see you guys out here. So, if fishing's hot, come out here. Wow, what a good day of fishing. Looks like we got a mix of coho and a mix of rainbow, but you know, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Blake, do you want to run us through?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few ways to tell the difference. So I think I might have even mis-ID'd that last one we got. But as you can see by the tails here, the rainbow has more of a paintbrush, not a full-on paintbrush, just a little divot there. Whereas the landlocked coho, you can see how much more forked that tail is. There's also like kind of more silvery specks around the end of a coho tail than a rainbow. And as Chris was pointing out, the faces of the coho tend to be more angular, and the trouts tend to be a little more stubby. Also, I'd say that the silvers are silver. That's why they call them silver. I was going to say their scales are a little finer as well, you know, and just more silvery. So there you go. Ho, ho, ho. I've died and gone to Riffe.
Hey, Northwest Northwest fishing fans, Hannah Pennebaker coming to you today from Hood Canal. So Hood Canal is pretty close to the coast of Washington State, and you can catch an abundance of fish and shellfish here. You can get oysters, clams, and mussels here. So today we're going to be going after clams and oysters. We're going to start off right here in Hood Canal, and then we're going to do a little bit of a shellfish two-step. Then we're going to go after Manila clams next. And today we're actually joined by a special guest, Blake Nelson from Washington Fish Quest. Hey Blake, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, thank you. You know, I brought my cowboy boots because I'm hoping we can do the South Hood, South Sound two-step. We're gonna show him how to do it. Now, in my opinion, Hood Canal is like just primo oyster town. You know, there's just oysters all over the place. You can get Manilas here as well, but I tend to favor South Sound where, you know, sometimes you can find just like a mud patch and you can get your limit of 40 Manilas in that little, you know, couple of square feet. So let's do the two-step, everyone.
Looks like we found our first oyster here. You can see he's a little small. The limit size here is 2.5 inches. It just happens to be about the size of our shucking knife. And you can see here, he's just definitely too small. So we're gonna go ahead and just let him grow and move on to the next rock.
Hey Blake, before we get started, let's go over some tools of the trade. So each harvester must have their own bucket, and it's also a good idea to bring a knife to shuck your oysters. It's actually illegal to remove shelled oysters from the beach on public land. Now there's two schools of thought when it comes to harvesting oysters. One, you can either shuck them as you go, or you can gather up your limit of 18 oysters and then shuck them all at the end. Yeah, either way you do it, it's a great day out here. Let's go find some more. What we have here is a Pacific oyster, just a great example of one. Now remember the size limit is 2.5 inches across the shell. Pacific oysters are absolutely delicious. World renowned for their flavor. They're nice, briny, and sweet, absolutely delicious. So we'll go ahead and throw this one in the bucket, take it home. Let's go find some more.
To shuck an oyster, you simply pop off the top, then down the hatch. Oh, that's good. Of course, always consume raw shellfish at your own risk, and you don't want to consume them in the summer either, where the risk of Vibrio is a lot higher. That's basically when oysters get hot. You know, there's really, I'd say 3 things that can really affect harvesting an oyster that are, you know, things in the water. One's Vibrio, and that's basically hot oysters, you know, just when it's not winter time or early spring or fall, that sort of thing. The other thing is fecal chloroform, which the Department of Health monitors, you know, so that's leaky septic systems. Some places in Hood Canal, it's actually been caused by pinnipeds, you know, like sea lions and that sort of thing when they gather. Then the other thing is marine biotoxins. So there's at least 3 I can think of off the top of my head. And there's kind of this old, what do you call it? Not misnomer, but this old tale of, you know, shellfish are safe to eat in months that have an R in them, those are the cooler months. That's somewhat true for Vibrio as far as the temperature. It is not true at all for marine biotoxins. So you always want to check the Department of Health's shellfish clickable maps before you go. They also have a hotline. They always say no before you go.
And I'm just cutting the muscles that hold onto the shells underneath the oyster and getting it to release from its shell. There we go. Nice oyster.
You might wonder why you have to throw the shells back when you're doing oystering. Well, this is a perfect exhibit A right here. You can see this oyster right here growing off the shell of another. So it's really important to remember when you come out here oystering, shuck your oysters and throw the shells back on the beach. Preserve habitat for more people to come out here and get their limits of oysters too. Step 1 of our shellfish two-step is complete. Where are we going next, Blake?
We're gonna go to the historic Bayshore Tidelands. It's a great spot, I like it. It's right outside of Shelton. It's my favorite place in the entire state to get Manila clams, AKA steamer clams.
Sounds good. Well, we got our limit of oysters. Let's go get our limit of clams. Stay tuned for part 2 of the shellfish two-step. We're here at Bayshore, also known as Oakland Bay Recreational Area, just about a 30-minute drive south of where we were at Lillooet Beach at Hood Canal. So Blake, tell us a little bit about this shell fishery.
Yeah, that's a really productive one. You know, where there hasn't been harvest recently, you can get your limit in a very small space. These are probably going to be primarily Manila clams, opposed to the native little neck, which are also an introduced species from Japan. And you know, we just got back from getting the Pacific oyster. The Manila was probably introduced from you know, seed accidentally, from the oyster seed. At any rate, I digress. But it's a very productive area. A lot of clams just right under the surface. There was also a little creek here called John's Creek. So if you're interested in chum fishing when it's open down in Marine Area 13, this is technically Marine Area 13, and fishermen will hit the mouth of the creek. There's also a run of sea run cutthroat, if that tickles your fancy, if you're perhaps a fly angler.
So we just showed you how to get your own limit of oysters. Now let's go over how to get a limit of Manila clams. So you'll need two things. You'll want a rake, and you'll want your own bucket to put your catch in. So the limit is 40 clams, and they all have to be over 1.5 inches. So make sure that you're following all the rules and that you check the shellfish safety website. And we've done both. Let's go ahead and get after some clams. Blake did warn me about how muddy it is out here. It is a little bit muddy, so you're gonna wanna make sure that you have waterproof boots, hip boots, waders, just something come prepared for the mud. Now the technique here, you just wanna have your rake and start raking up that mud. You'll start seeing them. Got to make sure they're not empty shells. Got a few empty shells here. All right, there's a nice clam right there. So one thing to remember is, like I mentioned, these clams have to be at least 1.5 inches wide. So we got ourselves a shellfish gauge right here. So these you can use to measure crabs, but you can also use this hole right here to measure shellfish. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Manila clam. I'm gonna see if it fits through. Oh, doesn't fit through. So this one's a keeper. Clams are just everywhere. It's a little bit muddy, but it's such a nice day out here. What fun it is to be out here with Blake and Chris, just having a great time digging up clams. So come out here and get a limit of clams yourself. All right, that's it for our Shellfish 2-step. I want to give a huge shout out to Blake from Washington Fish Quest for joining us today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me again. Always have a great time with you and Chris. Yeah, we came, we saw, we clammed, we oystered.
Yep, we sure did. That's our Shellfish 2-step. Thanks for joining us on Northwest Fishing. We'll see you on the next one.